Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. Thank you for joining for today's show. Today we got Matthew Potter, the short sale king of Arizona. And we're going to talk about how Matt went from a short sale processor getting all of 1% of my $30,000 short sales.
Yes, that is correct.
$300 per transactions. And how you're able to roll that up to this big time producer. So in 2017, you did over 100 transactions for $23 million in sales volume. So,
yes.
So before we talk about that, I want to start. I just want to share. We started this show because we want to give back to our community. We've struggled before, and we had a lot of issues when we started. And what we want to do is kind of share our lessons so we can shortcut the struggle for a lot of the young business leaders out there. And so all I ask is if you get value out of the show, tell a friend. Either share this episode or tell a friend or tell a takeaway or a lesson that you got from this episode. Talk about the show, basically, to help out as many people as we can. And don't forget, this is live Q&A, so I got this all up in our Facebook page. So if you got questions for Mr. Potter, post them here, and I'll be happy to get them answered for you. So now that we're getting started, so let's talk about why real estate. How did you get into this business?
So, super crazy story on that. I was actually going to school to be an elementary school teacher. Whole passion.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Thank God I changed I ultimately changed the direction there. And I was studying under Dr. Butler over at ASU, Dr. Jay Butler, one of my biggest mentors before even getting into real estate. And ultimately, I was going through that, got my degree, and right when I got my degree was when the market just started tanking. Banks are going out of business or being absorbed, all that. So I went for an interview at a company. It was a short sale company up in Scottsdale, like you said. Actually that one wasn't 1%. We had a little bit more there, but ultimately myself, my wife, we didn't get more. And I was hired on the spot. Started doing short sales. Next thing I knew, 3-4 months later, I'm closing 10, 15 of them a month. And I'm like, all right. That's actually where I ended up meeting my wife. We broke off, started our own company, kind of went from there. And then, 2013, I think it was?
Yeah.
We went ahead and branched into full-time real estate, everything, short sales, buyers, sellers, investment, flips, all of it. So it's definitely been a crazy, crazy ride. Nicole and I always sit there and we're like, wow, it's been 10 years. Like it doesn't feel like 10 years. It feels like it's been like 3 or 4 years. So it's really crazy, but that was ultimately my route to real estate.
That's so funny. I actually wanted to be a teacher too. One of the things I wanted to be, but it's like, it just doesn't make enough financial sense.
That was my main struggle, where I was like, I'm not going to be able to support myself.
Right. And that's how we met, because I would be the short sale expert.
Yes.
And I would get the listing, and then I would say, Matt, I need you to process this short sale for me.
Yes. And I would be the expert behind the scenes. You were the expert in front of the curtain.
Right. It was great.
We're Wizard of Oz behind the scenes.
It was win-win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
So what struggles did you face when you got started?
Getting our name out there, getting our brand out there, getting people to trust us. Back then when the market was just absolute, it was pretty well bottomed out. Homes are, like you said, 30,000. It's hard for me to go to an agent and be like, hey, look, by the way, I need to take about 33% of your paycheck.
Right.
But you're going to get a paycheck if you trust me and trust us, and we'll get it done. And I mean, that's a hard sell when a lot of people aren't making any money. I mean, I remember when I sat down with you, we went to, originally it was over at your old brokerage, and then we went to lunch too, and you were like, okay, look, I can see the value in this. Let's make this happen. And I'm like, okay. And all of a sudden, you started getting much more consistent paychecks.
Right.
And, Nicole and I ultimately, we could put a roof over our head at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot easier paying someone a third and making sure that I didn't have to do anything.
Exactly.
Versus having to slam my head against the wall.
Yes.
Dealing with that. So what other struggles did you face when you first got licensed?
When I first got licensed, it was a totally different dynamic at that point, because we were known as short sale processors, negotiators, whatever words you want to use. And all of a sudden it's, hey, by the way, we're not just doing that. We can run with your short sale. We can do the whole thing. By the way, help us help you, sell your house, buy a house, things like that. And, it's even with anybody that ever changes a career path, there's struggles. It takes time. And, it's luckily we had the foundation there, and a lot of our agent partners that we know, not just here in other parts of the country too, it was kind of, they were our big support system. And we're like, we trust them 100%. They're going to give it to you real. You're going to ultimately be happy and satisfied. So, we started listing property, started helping buyers buy property. And then from there, we just kind of started growing and helping more and more people and getting more referrals, which that was pretty awesome.
It is definitely. Okay, so knowing what you know today, what you did differently when you started?
Yes, my wife's probably smiling right now as I say this. I should have taken her advice and done what we did sooner.
Which is?
Convert from just the short sale processing side and open up the other avenues of helping buyers, helping sellers, not just short sale sellers.
Oh, so you're talking about traditional real estate.
Correct.
You should have gotten licensed sooner.
Should have gotten licensed sooner.
She's a smart woman. She
is. There's a reason that I married her. Well, there's several, but that's one of them. That's probably the biggest thing is I would have just started sooner because, there was fear that holds you back of, oh God, I'm not going to have a quote unquote normal steady paycheck. Well, we didn't have a normal steady paycheck anyways, but the way we were structured, we did. So it was kind of like you felt a false sense of security. And it's like, take off the water wings, jump in the deep end, let's just go for it.
Right. And you guys made a massive impact. So what would you say is your superpower?
I don't know, being able to bang my head against the wall with short sales and not have lost all my brain cells. I guess probably the biggest thing is being able to put together the puzzle as well as still realizing that there is a human component with it. It's not like a bank sale or an REO sale. Everybody that we help, everybody has a different story. And nobody's story is exactly the same, although a lot of them fall in the same box. So I think a lot of it is you're sitting there and you're looking at it, okay, I still have to be, compassionate, but at the same time I have to use the number side of my brain with the bank, because the bank ultimately at the end of the day, they have no compassion. They don't care.
No.
They're not getting paid. They don't care. They're like, that's great that, your spouse passed away a year ago. Sorry, we're going to foreclose on you next month. And we're kind of the final line of trying to get that to stop.
Right. And then, there's a lot of partnerships in this industry.
Yes.
Maybe in general, but definitely for sure in this industry, real estate partnerships. And they generally don't work. Right?
True.
They fall apart. It's more the rule than the exception.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the challenges you guys had and how you guys overcame those challenges.
This is the thing that's actually very interesting. Nicole and I talk about this. We actually were almost at a point where we had the mindset of if you're not in your desk making your phone calls, you're not ultimately going to perform. Nicole was like, look, I get my job done because she kind of handled the closing aspect of it. I handled the negotiation side of it. And we butted heads really, really bad about this. This was actually prior to us ever being in a personal relationship. And it got so bad to the point that we were about to throw our hands up and just be like, nope, we're done. We're absolutely done. You go do what you do. I'll go do what I do. But then you have to sit there and you have to take a step back and you have to look at it. Am I as strong on my own as I am in this partnership? Like, if we break this apart, are we still going to be successful? And it's a resounding no. We both know that.
Right.
Cooler heads generally prevailed. And it's kind of one of those things, like even when you were working with us on the processing side, you liked working with Marissa.
Right.
Marissa's amazing.
Everybody loves working with Marissa.
Yes, she was amazing.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side of that, you liked working with me. you liked working with Nicole because Nicole generally was the one that's like, by the way, it's closed. You're getting paid.
Nicole was always the deliverer of good news.
Yes.
Short sales approved.
Nicole never gave you bad news. I was the guy that was like, see what happened was. And you're like, no, I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. So we looked at it, and the sum of everybody together, it's a huge strength. And agents don't want to work with just me or just Nicole or just Marissa. It was all of us, like Captain Planet, our powers combined. So that was probably the biggest struggle. Is at the end of the day, we're one team, one dream. We're all trying to go towards the same common goal, but ultimately we may all think a different way to get there.
Right.
And that's that was kind of the biggest thing, where it's not necessarily my way was right, her way was right. It was kind of a culmination of both of our ways. And it ultimately got us to, where we wanted to be and where we're at right now.
Right. And I think, looking at your guys' relationship from the outside, looks like you're really good at shaking the tree, just making things happen.
Yes.
Right. And Nicole is really good at making the clients happy.
Yes.
And having them refer you business. So
exactly.
talk about her role in that.
Well, this was the great thing about kind of that circle, and even the circle today for that matter, is we were always very referral based. I mean, when we started out our company, we had 3 transactions for a total of like $1,200, and we had like $130,000 loan that was hanging out there. And I'm like, this is not a good business plan at all. This is a horrible idea.
Right.
We knew that it would take about 6 months to build the business and things like that. And, I would work on generating referrals. Nicole would work on generating referrals. Marissa would. Everybody would work on it. The great thing was Nicole's job was like perfectly primed for asking for them, or hey, do you have new files? Even buyer's agents, because we would always include buyer's agents on the communication, because they may end up having a listing that they need help with. We actually got a lot of business that way. So once she got everything done, it's like 3 days later, her and I would get an email. Hey, thanks so much. By the way, my friend in my office has a short sale and she's banging her head against the wall. Will you guys help?
Right.
So it was perfect, because it was kind of everybody did their applicable part. Thus, the referrals started coming in, and we went from the 3 transactions to, I think there was 1 month. I just remember it was a December, which is traditionally a horrible month in real estate.
Right.
And we ended up closing something like 67 transactions that month. And people were like, what? Like, you realize it's December, nobody's moving. I'm like, well, if the bank says you have to close, you're going to move. You kind of have to. So,
or it's no longer approved.
Exactly. Or, hey, by the way, you're getting foreclosed on January 3rd. Happy New Year. So it was like, all right, we got to go. So that's kind of how we built our business. And now it feeds into where we're at now, where a lot of our business is referral. It's referral from other agents, past clients. The funny thing is, even escrow officers that we worked with back then.
Right.
I got a Facebook message the other day. Hey, my sister needs to buy a property. I'm referring her to you and Nicole because you guys are awesome, whatever. And
That's awesome.
I was like, oh, okay. Now, mind you, she's down in Casa Grande.
Right.
I don't do a ton of business in Casa Grande, but it was cool that she remembered us for that specific area. And I was like, heck yeah, we're totally fine helping her out. And she's like, awesome. I know she's in good hands with you guys, with the way that you guys always handled everything on the short sale side. So it's cool to see that, because that's like 5-6 years since the last time we did a transaction.
Yeah, no, definitely gotta be memorable if that's happening. So Max has a question. There's someone out there advertising, stop doing short sales the old way. You ever heard this?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Hey, weird. Max, what's going on, buddy?
Okay, so I think you kind of talked about it a little bit, but let's just go a little bit more. Why short sales?
Why did we initially get into it, or why do we still focus on it now?
Yeah, the evolution, right? So why did you start in it, and then why are you still doing it?
Started in it because it was either that or we were going to have to work for the bank as REO agents. I mean, those were kind of your 2 options at that point, or fly to New York, get yourself a hedge fund buyer, which that still wasn't for 2-3 years until that happened. So more than anything, it was kind of out of necessity at the very beginning. But the thing is, my wife, super analytical. She is. She's got an analytical brain. I do as well. I'm the product of 2 engineers, so I'm fairly normal, all things considered.
Except for the ADD.
It is a thing. That being said, it's putting together a giant puzzle for us.
Right.
Where I like that. Other people, I don't want to even consider doing that. I just want to focus on this. I'm like, no, give me that. I want the more complicated, the more fun, in my opinion. So right. I am slightly nuts. And ultimately, once 2013 rolled around and we activated our real estate licenses, writing was on the wall. We're starting to get some appreciation in the market. Short sale market's going to start to dry up a little bit. And it was one of those things where people knew our name. They knew our brand. They knew that we would close short sales, whether they had been a buyer's agent on one or, they'd seen that we did. All of a sudden it was, well, I want to work, the traditional side of real estate, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I still don't want to just leave somebody hanging. So they started referring them to us.
Right. And
that's how we kind of stayed with a real nice baseline of doing short sales.
So you have 178 reviews on Zillow.
Yes.
So what was the strategy? What was the process? Let's just start with why Zillow? Because when you started, I remember I was telling you, screw Zillow, they're terrible people.
Yes, you did.
So you went ahead and ignored your broker's advice, and it's obviously paid off dividends for you. So let's talk about that.
It's helped a little bit. So we did get a little bit lucky with Zillow. We actually did, and I'll get to that part of it. More than anything, at the time, Redfin was still kind of in its infancy, doing its thing. Trulia was a separate brand at that point. You had Realtor.com, but nobody really went to it. Zillow was all the rage. It's where everybody went.
Right.
And I remember we were starting and, God, terrified of the payment on this for, impressions. Or, that's what they call them. It was something like $420 a month or something like that. And I'm like, oh, God, that's a lot of money. I'm like, we can't afford to do this. We can't. And, Nicole's kind of looking at it, and she's like, that's a pretty healthy budget. So we pulled the trigger and we went for it. And luckily, because we started listing a lot of short sales and ultimately friends started buying homes, selling homes, things like that, we started getting a lot of contacts off of that because of what was known as an exclusive listing, which was, our information would be the only information that would show up.
Right.
So we started getting a lot of contacts, way more contacts than Nicole and I could ever handle. So we ended up expanding our team to help make sure that, the people that are contacting us are getting taken care of. But from there, we ultimately got grandfathered in because one of the things is there are times that I will procrastinate. Zillow reps would call, hey, we want to sell you more impressions. And I'm, you get into a little bit better spot and you're like, oh, okay, I could spend that. No problem. Well, I kept kind of putting it on the back burner. So we're set up with 25 exclusive listings on Zillow, which is great because that means only our contact information is in front of those 25 listings. So they're going to contact us and reach out to us. And from there, it's kind of mushroomed and exploded.
Right.
And it's made us go from, mom and pop shop to, hey, we have 3 other agents on our team, couple transaction coordinators. We got a nice little solid team.
Yeah.
And from there, a lot of people contact us off Zillow. We work with a lot of them, and we ultimately close a lot of them. So it was, I definitely know the mentality back then was, oh no, most of these people are looky-loos. And I'm like, well, if you're looking for a house, Zillow's the biggest website right now.
Right.
There's probably a good chance you're going to start there before you do anything else. They're going to contact someone. It might as well be you. At least get your foot in the door before maybe they go to, their mother's brother's uncle's cousin or, go call somebody off a sign.
So I know one of the challenges that, some of these agents have is getting the reviews.
Yes.
You have 178.
Yes.
Let's talk about that process. How
They're
do you
all
make
from my
sure-
mother. No, I'm just kidding.
That works. Hey, that's a strategy.
I'm just kidding.
That's a strategy that would work.
If Zillow is watching this, they're not. They're all confirmed.
Yeah.
Literally what we do, and there's some people that will review us. There's some people that won't review us. Some people aren't reviewers.
Right.
Once a transaction's closed, whether it's a buy side, sell side, we always like to try to follow up, and we get them on a follow up schedule. And generally, we're calling them or seeing them in person several times a year.
Yeah.
Once it closes, literally just send a nice little email. Congrats on your closing. We hope that you were happy with the service that we provided. Would you take a couple minutes to write a review for us on Zillow? If you don't, my broker will fire me. So no, I really don't put that part in there. That's literally what we do. And I would say out of every 10 that we send out of that, I'd say probably 8 will review us.
Right.
Like I said, there's always a couple that just aren't going to.
So are you like a debt collector then on those other two? Like, what are you doing?
No. Honestly, I'll forward over an email again, and I'll give a phone call and just be like, hey, I just wanted to see if you had a chance to read my email. Just wanted to see if you had time to do a review and make sure ultimately you were happy with everything.
Right.
Because generally somebody's not going to give you a review, especially since it literally takes 2 minutes. Maybe there was something that you were unaware of during the process, and if there was something that they weren't happy with, well, let us know so that we can try to make it right for you. So generally, if they haven't done it after I've talked to them a couple times, I'm like, you know what? They're just not a reviewer. It's not a big deal. I'm not gonna sit there and show up at their door and be like, hey, by the way, I've already logged on. I've created a username for you. Can you go ahead and do it?
I mean, it's not a bad thing. So, let's see. So Facebook. I mean, I would say you're doing a lot of business from Facebook. And
yes.
I would say also that you're every broker's nightmare.
I appreciate it.
I think it's either every month or every other month. I say, hey, Matt, knock it off. Or maybe you shouldn't say those things. So, and in many ways, you're like a young Russell Shaw. So let's talk about that. What's your Facebook strategy?
To be fair, it is on my personal page, though.
As a realtor, are there really personal pages?
No, there's not, because I keep everything public.
Yeah.
The thing that I've actually found about it is it appears most people appreciate it, where it's, and my wife and I always joke around, we're real tours. We're, all caps real. Because at the end of the day, connecting with people is the most important thing.
Yeah.
It is. Well, on whatever level. You can't just sit there and cram real estate down their throat 24/7 and expect them to reach out to you. They're going to sit there and be like, God, this guy's annoying. Hide, unfollow, block, whatever it is.
Right.
So, we like to do a nice mixture of literally everything in our lives that goes on. Family, school, business, funny stuff, not so funny stuff, things that are debatable.
Yes, debatable.
Yes, I've had a couple statuses that have had over 400 comments on them, and I'm like, eesh, kind of broke the Facebook button on that one today. Right. But yeah, more than anything, and this is the thing that's kind of cool, is, and in no way whatsoever am I saying one way is right, one way is wrong. More often than not, all of our clients, even if it's somebody that we met and I've only known them a couple weeks and been working with them, I add them as a friend on Facebook.
Really?
I do. The reason why is ultimately at the end of the day, I want them to see that it's not a show when I'm out with them. That, I do like to have fun. I like to goof around. Yes, I have serious moments as well. My wife would probably like me to have a couple more serious moments, but it is what it is. But I like them to know that, look, you didn't pay an admission to a show. This is how I am. This is how my family is. This is how my kids are. The dogs. I mean, everything down to the turtles. And I don't know. I think we have a fish or... Oh, no, that's right. My wife said that I can buy a snake. I'm just kidding. She didn't. So... we actually get tagged in like a lot of people's posts about, hey, you know, I'm looking for a realtor, might want to buy. We'll get tagged 4 or 5 times by mutual friends. Next thing I know, there's a message. I would say generally probably once a week, either an agent or a friend of a friend on Facebook reaches out via Messenger and is like, hey, wanted to see if you could help out. You know, can you help out? And it's, yeah, sure. Let me know a time that we can talk. And then let me know a time that we can sit down. Like a friend of mine from high school, she reached out to me on Messenger yesterday. I'm sitting down with her tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're going to discuss what we can do to help her out.
Awesome.
So Facebook, it's a great tool if you leverage it.
If you leverage it correctly. And you do a really good job. You get tremendous engagement. I mean, there are some things like, why does this have 100 comments?
Yes.
So,
Blue cheese, yes or no? I had like 146 comments on that, and Nicole was like, no. And I'm like, the answer is yes.
The answer is no.
The answer is yes.
I will get up right now. So, all right. Right now, you know, the rage is wholesale and flip, and that's, you know, obviously part of our movement, the real estate disruptors, and we're trying to create this marriage between, you know, traditional realtors and flipping and wholesaling.
Yes.
So obviously you've gotten into this game very recently as well. So some people might wonder, how are you finding your opportunities and deals?
I'm in a unique position. I think I could say that for most of my life.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of short sales, a lot of investors, wholesalers, things like that, they'll actually refer them over to us. And they're like, hey, this person needs help. We want to try to give them a solution. Can you go ahead and, you know, work the short sale? Yeah, sure. Talk to them, get everything lined up, and we go ahead and go from there. The one thing that I've learned is everybody's numbers are different in this world with wholesales, flips, things like that. There's some people that are very, very conservative with their numbers. There's other people that are very, very liberal with their numbers. And I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, sure. That's what you want to pay. Yeah, that'll work.
Right.
So that is one of the sources of business is actually our short sales. That being said, we'll never personally purchase our own short sales because that's a serious conflict of interest for us. I'm not going to do that to a homeowner where it's like, hey, they'll accept our offer, but by the way, the bank needs you to bring $5,000 to closing. Like, that's just not right.
Right.
So, like I said, a lot of times investors bring us things like that. The other thing is attorneys, landscapers, other agents. You know, we had another agent actually call us and was like, what do you think about this property? He's like, this is the price I want. And I'm like, deal done. Don't even need to see it.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yep, I know the comps. We're good.
So you think that being the short sale king leads you to other opportunities because the relationships you've created being the short sale king.
That's what it is. At the end of the day, this is a relationship based business. It is. The larger your sphere, the larger amount of opportunities that you're going to have. It's literally that simple. You know, if you know 3 people, well, you're only going to be able to help 3 people. You know 3,000 people, and they all know, 100 people each.
Yeah,
you're going to be busy for a while.
You're going to get a lot further. And so that kind of goes on to my next point, because you are, you're still the number 1 guy for short sales in Arizona.
Yes, indeed.
So congratulations on keeping that crown.
Thank you.
But we were also laughing, like, it's not even a 30-year business.
Yes.
So let's talk about how you leverage short sales to do 100 transactions last year.
Well, it really is kind of a funny thing when you sit there and look at it, because, I mean, if you look at most agents' business back in 2009, 2010, 2011, it was short sales or REOs.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. Nobody had equity. Even if your home was paid off, you didn't have equity. Then all of a sudden, people's numbers started to morph. When we first came in, I mean, we were 65-ish% short sales, and then a couple other things here and there. Now we're number 1 for short sales in Arizona, and we still crank out 20 to 30 a year, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot when you.
It's still a lot.
It's a lot. It is, but the rest of it has kind of been one of those things where word has gotten out. Let's go ahead and, hey, let's buy a home. Let's sell a home. The other thing that's super cool for us is a lot of the people that we helped with short sales, they're starting to cycle through now as being able to buy again.
That's nice.
And that's where we're getting business too. Like our good friend Henry.
Right.
He's ready to buy right now.
Let's see, I got a Ryan O'Shea Duggins.
Yes.
That's Henry's son?
No. Ryan, do you remember there was a property over in
Glendale?
It was in Glendale.
Uh-huh.
And I had contacted you and I said, look, I need you to buy this house at this number. And
right.
You were like, I don't like that number. I'm like, but if you buy it at this number, we're good. Everything's done. We're free and clear. And you were like, yes. Okay.
Then I'm good with that number.
I'm good with that number. And I'm like, excellent. So that's another opportunity, networking right there.
Cool. All right. So, yeah, what's up, Ryan? Yeah, so that's cool.
Hey, Ryan.
All right. So the other thing was, you've gone through this whole process. What's the greatest you've learned from, and this isn't even limited to just real estate. What was the greatest lesson you've learned?
Oh, man. I've learned a lot of lessons. Life will come at you fast.
Yeah.
You better be prepared for it. Things can change at any given moment. Perfect example, cruising along in business. All of a sudden, Nicole and I started dating. Couple kids, she had a couple kids. All of a sudden, boom, she's pregnant. We have Cooper now. Boom, she's pregnant again. Unfortunately, we lost Noah back in September. And then, final boom, she's pregnant right now with Olivia. So, literally in the last, 4 years, I think we've been together. Yeah, it's going to be 4 years.
You move fast.
Yeah, wow.
I'm not sure it's life moving fast. I think it just might be a Matt thing.
It might be, it's the ADD thing. It's one of those where just know that life's going to give you its purpose when the time is right. Like, honestly, if Nicole and I, at the very beginning, when we knew each other, if we would have tried to go into a personal relationship, I think we would have survived, but I think there would have been a lot more heartache, headache, struggles in business, personal life, things like that.
All right.
From the real estate side of it, anything can happen at any given moment. Like, literally like that. It will change. What's the quote? In a New York minute.
Yeah.
Things can change like that. Where, oh God, where's my next transaction going to come from? Maybe you haven't been working your lead sources as hard as you're supposed to. To you get a phone call where, hey, by the way, I'm relocating from California. I need to buy a primary and 3 rental properties. And you're like, okay. And I'm back on the grind.
Yeah, let me clear my calendar real quick.
Yeah. Just let me know when you're going to be in town.
So what great lesson are you learning right now?
To enjoy it all. As corny as that is, to enjoy it all. Enjoy the highs, enjoy the lows. At any given moment, your business can be stripped from you.
Right.
It can. Anything can happen. I know agents that have made foolish decisions and literally their licenses were revoked and it's all gone now for them.
Right.
And I just sit there and I look at it realistically, like where I am in my life with everything. My wife, my kids, my family, my parents, our real estate investments, just everything. Like, in no way whatsoever do I want real estate stripped from me tomorrow or for everything to change and everybody be like, oh, no, don't ever use Matt to buy a house or sell a house. It's nice to have the foundation there and to truly enjoy it. Like, that's the thing. Like, kind of like I was telling you, I let all of our potential clients, like, come on, enjoy our life on Facebook, because ultimately I really do enjoy my life a lot. Like, yeah, there's days I'm stressed. You're tired, you're grouchy, you're pissed, whatever. Yeah. Like that's just life in general. But at the end of the day, I'm like, wow. I'm like, man, I got a lot to be thankful and grateful for.
For sure, and I think that's something that experiencing growing up, being an immigrant and having both my parents work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I never got to have, dad come to the basketball game, whatever. Yep. And so for me, I try to remember that, to be present with the kids, with the family, as much as we can. And we're not perfect.
No, you never are, because
but we do the best we can.
Here's a perfect example. Our daughter, she had a 3-night Peter Pan play thing. I don't know.
Okay, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, she's in I don't even remember what class this was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just play. I don't know. First night, ultimately, we couldn't attend. And, opening night jitters and all that. I was like, yeah. I'm like, she's going to be like, oh, it was terrible. Second night, my mother-in-law came over. And with Cooper, I love my little dude. He's amazing. But, man, he's a handful. And you try to take him there, he's going to be doing, bouncing all over the place. So Nicole and my mother-in-law went and saw the play, came home, showed me videos and pictures and all that.
Yeah.
I could tell, like, I can read my daughter like a book.
Mm-hmm.
She was sad that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, God, that cuts me to my core right now. I'm like, okay. I had a closing that Friday, had to do the closing. Nicole had an appointment at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a whole thing. And this thing started at 7. Luckily, Nicole got home literally at 6:45. I'm hopping in the car. I drove there, got there, snuck in. And then after the show, she's got this look on her face. She's like, oh, my God. And I'm like, I told you if it was possible, I would come. Sometimes things come up, but I really did want to be here. So she was super excited about that. And then 5 minutes later, she's like, can I go spend the night at my friend's house? And I'm like, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah, she's still a teenager.
Of course.
So Max has a question. So besides systems processes, would you consider your network your biggest asset? And what are you doing to keep leveraging that network?
Well, actually, you and I had a conversation about this, staying in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it continually. It's something you can never slack on it. You can't. People have to know what you do. There's times I'm sure people are tired. They're like, oh, God, okay, yeah, you sold a house. Good job. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, okay, yeah, short sales. But people need to know that, because if they don't know, well, what you don't know, you don't know. They're not going to call you. They're not going to text you. They're not going to email you.
It's not their job to keep you top of mind.
Exactly. It's not. And ultimately, it's no different than, look at it this way. If you were making 1,000 phone calls a day and getting 10 contacts out of that and listing one home every single day, you're doing amazing things.
Having a great life.
Yeah. Like, you're doing really, really solid. If you take 4 months off from that, I can guarantee you are not doing the same exact thing every single day.
Right.
You're not just listing a property every single day unless your referral game is super strong.
Yeah.
So using your network, like I've worked with Max before. Max has sent me referrals. I actually helped him get a property.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole and I helped him get a property as well. He did nice and solid on it, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
If I'd never met Max, the likelihood of any of that ever occurring, is not going to occur.
Right.
And, I have you to thank for that, actually.
Yeah, no, he was a great ISA until you left me.
Yeah, I know.
Jerk.
Yeah, I kind of miss him. Max, let's have lunch, buddy.
All right, so how has failure shaped your life?
Well, fail. First attempt in learning.
Uh-huh.
It's that simple. Because if you fail at something, that's the end. Right. It's you found the way that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Go find the way that does work. I'm going to be honest with you. The first time I ever did a short sale, I did not have a clue what the hell I was doing. Literally, they're like, call Wells Fargo and call... God, well, my first transaction I ever did was Wells Fargo on the first mortgage, Wilshire on the second. Wilshire is not around anymore, in case you didn't know that. And I'll never forget this guy. The property was in Florida. There was a hurricane, a flood. Like, it was just a friggin' nightmare. That being said, I failed at least 18 times on that transaction. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, there were 18 different buyers that we could have closed with. I didn't get one of those to stick.
Yeah.
Part of that was the market just kept taking a dump. It was, oh, okay, we're under contract at 120. Oh, by the way, the house next door just sold for $40,000. And I'm like...
Right.
So don't you want to just buy this one?
Right.
So I I think it makes you more resilient as a person. It does. It helps you into a growth mindset, because if you're not growing, like you're stuck. You're complacent, which I always want to be growing. Right. I don't want to just be like, oh, okay, I know everything about this topic. No, you never know everything about a topic. It just never happens.
Well, I mean, that's one of our core values, right? Growth.
Yes.
It's like the day you stop learning is a day that you're just dangerous to everybody around you.
No, you've ultimately thrown in the towel.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is a very dangerous mindset of, well, no, I already know this. Mm-hmm. No, you don't know anything, because it can all change the next day.
Chet loves that comment. First attempt in learning. Okay, so what book have you read that everybody should read?
Am I allowed to cuss on this thing?
Officially, we have this as a clean show on iTunes. I submitted everything as clean.
Fair enough.
But I know what you're talking about. We just got to put an apostrophe in there.
Yes. You know what book I'm talking about. It's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F.
Right.
My amazing broker over here, Steve, decided that he saw this title, didn't even read anything about the book. Nothing. He saw the title and immediately had it shipped from Amazon to me and my wife.
Yeah.
And said, this book reminds me of you. I don't even know what this book's about. And of course we had a good chuckle about it. Nicole read it first. I read it second. And it's not necessarily, you're a rogue badass or anything like that. Mm-hmm. That's not what the book's premise is. The book's premise is, the less you care about the stuff that doesn't matter, like, the stupid stuff that doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, like, for me, just for me, like, I wear the same outfit every day. Like, to me, I'm sorry, like, clothes are clothes. Like, they cover me, great. I don't really care about that. That doesn't mean that, fashion's not important. Mm-hmm. It's not a part of whatever. But I'm a real guy. Like, hey, I wear a polo shirt and I wear tennis shoes. I'm sorry. I do. To me, that's one of the things, like, don't get caught up on that. Get caught up on the important stuff. Your family, your kids, your business, helping your clients. Think about it this way. If I had to put on a 3-piece suit every time I went and showed a home, which we live in Phoenix, so thank God I don't have to do that.
Right.
But if I had to do that, especially say there's a property that's a hot commodity, and there's 8 other agents that went over there in their flip-flops and, their T-shirt, and they've already spoken to the listing agent. The listing agent said, give me an offer at this. You're good to go. Well, I've ultimately hurt my client by being caught up on something that's ultimately not important.
Right, for the situation.
For the situation, exactly.
Yeah, and my favorite chapter in that book was when we were talking about going to Russia.
Yes.
And talking about, you want to see directness.
Yeah.
Go visit Russia. I've had no interest in going to visit Russia. And after reading that book, I was like, well, maybe we want to go check it out. See how direct and real.
I'm going to be honest with you. Russia's not on my bucket list.
Yeah.
But then again, there is a certain, like you said, there's a directness there. Mm-hmm. There is a legit directness of, this is what it is. Right. No frills.
Well, no one's got time to waste.
No,
right?
They don't.
Are we going to work together or not? We're not going to work together. There's no time for feelings.
It's cold outside. Let's go.
Yeah. Tim Reagan's got a great question. How do you measure your growth professionally?
Wow. All right, Tim. You coming with the questions today. I guess from that aspect, are we looking at production? Probably like production.
We're just going to go open-ended on this one.
Okay. Well, we can roll with it. I look at it, I don't necessarily look at it as a transaction-based thing. I really don't. I look at it as care that's been provided to the clients. Mm-hmm. Are we helping more people? Are more people happy, with our service? What is, how are they reacting to working with us? Mm-hmm. Are we getting more referrals? Because usually referrals are a real good litmus test of whether or not, you're doing well for your clients, or your clients really don't like you, and okay, well, whatever. We picked this guy. We got to use somebody.
Yeah.
All right, we signed our closing docs.
He's breathing.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for the keys. See you later.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because I think there's two metrics we can look at. We can look at their reviews, right? I mean, are they giving us 5-star reviews? If they're giving us 5-star reviews, we're doing things right.
Yep.
And the second thing I think is the referrals.
Yeah.
There's no greater vote of confidence than referrals.
And this is the other thing that's funny about the reviews. I've only gotten one bad review on Zillow, which this is the funny thing to me. At first, I was super upset about it, and I was like, you know what? Everybody gets a bad review every now and then. Mm-hmm. Like Hollywood movies. Not everybody's going to love a Hollywood movie, even if it's like critically acclaimed. They're not. So I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I had one bad one. And then ironically enough, she actually updated it like 3 days later to a 5-star review.
Oh.
But here was the kicker. Zillow took that review down, and they left up the 1-star. And I was like, I'm not even going to fight it. It's not even worth it.
So what have you done that everybody should do?
Well, I can't say marry my wife. So,
I mean, we moved to Utah. I think there's
nope. We're not going that. We're not going down that road. God, I don't know. I wouldn't say I've really done anything that is, I don't know, that spectacular or, I don't know. I guess go on vacation. There we go. Everybody needs to go on vacation. Doesn't matter. Yeah. At least once a year, go on vacation. Do
number.
It. Do it, Steve.
That's a big number. That's a major commitment.
Hey, Nicole and I are going on, well, technically 2 vacations this year.
Yeah, that's a major commitment.
It's for like 3 days.
Why do you think most people fail?
Fear.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's fear. At the end of the day, I was taught by one of my other mentors who actually we've helped her buy and sell, I think, 3 or 4 homes now. Mm-hmm. Fear stands for F, because it's a clean show. Mm-hmm. Everything's all real. You start to get into that mindset of, oh my God, I don't have a steady paycheck. Crap, my electric bill's overdue. I need to sell a house now. Mm-hmm. That's what ultimately leads to failure. Right. I really do think that a lot of it is fear. Sometimes it can be fear of success too. I've seen that with people before where I'm like, God, you would kill it in this business. Like, I know you would. It's like they get into it, and it's like they shoot themselves in the foot. And I'm like, don't overcomplicate, a situation. Right. Ultimately, if your client likes you and they want to work with you, they're going to work with you.
Right.
And, the rest of it is just guiding them and making sure that you're working in their best interest, getting them, the best deal possible. So I would definitely say that fear is the biggest, the biggest thing that's going to drive failure.
And I think that, that fear of success is a real thing because we've had some friends that we know that, man, like they're hitting their stride and let's see how they can screw it up.
Yeah.
Like, it's so painful to witness
it's
because they feel like they don't deserve it in some manner or another.
I don't know if it's like a subconscious thing. Yeah. Maybe it's something from an upbringing or something like that. But all of a sudden they're like, you're just getting there and it's like, oh man, I can see what you're about to do and I'm excited for you.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, okay, wait, no. And I'm like, well, why'd you just jump off the cliff? All you had to do was make sure you had your little paraglider thing on and just go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a very good point. Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
Besides the kids?
Yes, besides the kids.
My wife will say definitely not because, I lay down in bed and 5 minutes later I'm asleep.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Man, I'm like 5 seconds.
Yeah, well, I pretty much hit the pillow and I'm done. No, because I've learned, especially over the last year. Last year we had a pretty tumultuous up and down year. It was rough. All different types of things with our son, my father, business relationships. I mean, just kind of when it all comes at once. And it was just all tearing us in all different directions. I've learned, and it took me a long time to get to this point in my life, and this is probably the thing that I'm the most grateful for and happy at this moment. Control what is in your control and what's out of your control. You have to just let go, let let God, your higher power, whatever it may be, let them do their thing. And whatever's going to be is going to be. Now, that's not saying roll over, and throw your hands up. Oh, no, I can't make phone calls anymore. No, you can make phone calls. Yeah. You can still work, but it's ultimately one of those things of what's going to happen is going to happen with regards to certain situations, and you need to not stress or worry about that, because the other thing that I've learned is, and this was a big lesson that we took away from last year, is there's others around you that are still depending on you, whether it's kids, business partners, colleagues, associates, things like that. If you're stressed and you're not able to kind of be the best that you can be, that's a disservice to everyone around you.
Right.
So, nothing really keeps me up at night. I've kind of gotten, Zen mastery with that, except for if I eat too much spicy food right before bed.
Or Taco Bell. Start with a Taco Bell.
Yeah, no.
But I think something in there. I think the Serenity Prayer is one of my favorite sayings. I can't go off the top of my head right now, but that. Oh,
I got it. If you want.
All right, go ahead.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question. It was, how does a gargoyle like you land a babe? And I really feel like you don't need to answer this question, because I feel like that was just a really strong sales game, and it just really speaks to your sales skills and a long sales game.
Oh yeah, no, I've been a salesman since I was 9 years old. And I started selling used golf balls out of the backyard of my parents' house.
Right.
It was 25 cents a ball, five for $1. Man, there were some days I was making $60 on summer break, but I'm definitely very, very lucky and blessed that this gargoyle here was able to land such a babe like Nicole.
Yeah. You are blessed. I can tell you. I mean, she definitely, I don't know what she was thinking. So
yeah, I know. I totally duped her on that, and thank God that I did.
So Ryan's got a question for you. So what are your feelings on the market turning more towards renting versus buying in certain areas?
Well, you are seeing it in some areas where I've started to notice, some buyers have said, I don't see the value in that. I think what the biggest aspect of that is right now is inventory. Yeah. It's an inventory thing. And the major reason behind that is builders haven't been able to acquire and build fast enough. The other aspect of it is, going back to the short sale days, there's massive hedge funds that are holding on to a lot of property right now.
Right.
They're starting to slowly leak some of it out, but it's mostly the stuff that...
But they're buying right now, too.
They're buying right now, too. So, yeah. I mean, you really have like a catch-22 there. Yeah. It's not like it was in 2011. I mean, you had 9 hedge funds to go choose from, which one will close in 24 hours. But that being said, I think that once rents start to push up a little bit more, the quote-unquote value of buying, because I'm working with several buyers right now where, my rent is $2,200 a month. I'm going to buy this house and it's $1,700 a month, which $500 a month to me, like that, I'm sorry, I see value there. Yeah. I do. But I think their biggest thing is, and this is one of my biggest gripes probably with our industry, is they watch HGTV. So they expect everything to look like Joanna Gaines just designed it, or who are the other people? Nate and Jeremiah and the Property Brothers and all that. So they're I know way too much about HGTV.
Yeah, you do have no idea who these people are.
Yeah, well, actually some of them they're pretty legit.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's an expectation thing, and one of the things that works really well for us is we're able to kind of show them, like, look, you can have that, and it doesn't cost nearly as much as you think it does.
Right.
Like, you sit there and you look at it like, oh my God, this is going to be $80,000 to remodel this house. No, it's actually like $24,000.
I've seen some of the things that Chet can do too on a budget. So
man, the man works miracles.
Yeah,
he does. We're super lucky and grateful that Chet is on our team, because I'll call him up. I even call him up for advice on ours. I called him the other day, and I'm like, if it had a backyard that was landscaped, would you have sold it to that lady? And he was like, no, but I will tell you this. You need to finish the landscape there. And I'm like, fair enough. I will take your advice.
So going back to Ryan's question, do you have any concerns about the renting and the buying in these certain areas affecting your business model in any way?
No. The reason why is ultimately, one way or another, homes are going to be purchased.
Yeah.
Whether they're purchased for rental purposes, whether they're purchased for owner occupancy,
right.
They are. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what's causing the multiple offer situations, things like that, is literally just a lack of inventory, especially quality inventory.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that you look at, you're like, if you drop $40,000 off that price, I will buy it and I will put the money into it and I will turn around and sell it for this as a quality product. So that's that's kind of one of the things. And again, it goes back to condition from HGTV.
Right.
Everybody sees that, and that's what they want.
So one thing I haven't brought up here, so let me just bring it up here, is one of the reasons I think you guys get so many referrals is because a lot of your transactions, short sales aside,
yes,
are seamless.
Yes.
And I think part of that has to do with your lender partners, your title partners. You want to talk about that?
Yes. This is the thing that we are very, very grateful for. When we first started, like I told you, that magic number was $420 for Zillow, which, dude, that's like a car payment. Well, especially at the time, that was a car payment. That was my first car payment, now that I think about it, actually. Eek. An amazing lending partner. I was like, look, here's the deal. Can you help out? Yeah, no problem. Like, not even a question. He believed in us. We believed in him.
Right.
His business has grown exponentially. Our business has grown exponentially. And, this is the thing that was really interesting when we broke out into traditional real estate. We knew a ton of escrow officers across the valley because we worked other agents' short sales. So some wanted, this escrow officer, some wanted this, some wanted this. So we saw the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So we knew where the good ones were, and then we were like, no.
Right.
So our escrow officer that we use, I don't know, am I allowed to name drop?
Sure.
Carrie Persons over at Magnus Title is amazing. That being said, she ultimately makes it so I don't have to sit there and check on what's going on.
Right.
What is going on? Has a buyer come in to sign? Has a seller come in to sign? Any of that. It's done. It's gotten to the point, like a lot of buyer's agents, even on some of our transactions, are like, hey, I really like this escrow officer. I've been looking for somebody.
Right.
Do you think that she would work with me? And I'm like, well, considering the fact her job's to do escrow, yeah, I'm pretty sure she would work with you.
She'll find a way.
And the thing is, and especially with a very competitive market, everybody has their favorites. Well, whatever it may be. That being said, there's a lot of escrow officers that we've worked with, like I said, from the short sale side, where if it's going to come down to, this title company versus that title company is ultimately going to make or break a deal, you don't let your clients lose out on that. Right. Same thing with lending partners for that matter as well. But the cool thing is, like, a lot of times, all of a sudden the escrow officer will reach out to us and be like, holy crap, it's you guys. We love working with you. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's been a couple of years, but that's great.
Well, and I think part of it too is that, when you first started with Mike and then you've added Kari to the mix and you work with Carrie, I think that you guys are able to provide a tremendous experience for your clients.
Yes.
Where everything's smooth and there's a lot less stress.
Well, exactly. And the other thing is, because I know everybody, like I said, has their partner. Like, this is my partner. This is my number one. This is who I use. One of the things that I've definitely learned, Nicole's known it from day damn one and been beating me over the head with it. And I finally started listening. Not every person is going to be that fit for that client. And that includes myself. There's times I'm not the guy. That doesn't mean Chet's not the guy, or Kaz isn't the guy, or Cindy is the gal, or Nicole's the gal. It's just, it's not a one-size-fits-all industry. It's not that way. So it was one of those things where we looked at it and we said, okay, who are the people that we trust, that we know are reliable, that we know aren't going to make stupid, foolish mistakes and ultimately provide a good experience all around? Because when you're buying a house, the last thing you want to do is when I show up to give you a key, you sit there and you're like, this experience sucked. The loan officer was terrible. The escrow officer didn't even sign me. You know, I had to, go meet somebody at a Starbucks, in friggin' East LA. Yeah. That's not a good experience. You want to provide a good experience. So that's why we sat down and looked at it and said, okay, you know what? These are our partners. These are who we can stand behind these referrals, because I would like to think if I'm giving you the name and number of somebody, I'm standing behind that person, and that means I've worked with them. That means I've seen their production. That means I've seen what they do and how they treat their clients, and I think you're going to be happy with them. So that's why we set it up where it's okay. These are the partners. Let's go ahead and rock and roll.
And I think there's a great lesson in there too with Carrie. We were able to convince her to join Magnus, and there's that. No matter how awesome someone is, there's a pretty good chance someone's underappreciating them.
Yep.
And so she's a great reminder.
Absolutely.
For that. And also a reminder, appreciate everyone you got around you.
Absolutely.
So Max has one other question. What is one thing you can tell new entrepreneurs, especially in real estate today, that helps you to stay focused when you get started and to not compare your process to others?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, that goes to, I think it was Albert Einstein said, if a monkey and a fish are side by side.
Is an Einstein quote? I haven't heard this before.
I think so. Don't quote me on that though. If you sit there, it's essentially about standardized testing and how there's not one proper way to ultimately do anything. There's really not, except for maybe math. That being said, if you sit there and you judge a fish on its ability to fly, I think is what it was, or climb a tree, that fish is going to believe it's stupid its whole life.
All right.
So at the end of the day, don't compare yourself to somebody else. Somebody else may have a ton of backing behind them. They may have a lot more tools at their disposal than you do. The most important thing is do what is in your capability. If you've grown to the point where your capabilities are all being utilized and it's taking 100%, partner with somebody. Grow with somebody.
Right.
Do something like that. At the end of the day, that's what Nicole and I ultimately did. We had grown to max capacity. And I'll never forget, I sat down with you and you were like, okay, by the time you leave this meeting today, you hire Marissa. You have to bring her back as a transaction coordinator, or you and Nicole are capped. You can't do anything else. And I'm like, I'll be honest, I was pissed when I left that meeting. I'm like, man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I called Nicole, and we sat there, and man, we were looking over numbers, and we're like, oh my God. And then literally an hour later, I called Marissa, and we had the conversation, and Marissa called and quit her job. Literally right then. And she's like, all right, I'll start tomorrow.
That's good. So, I think I would agree with Max on this one. He says the perfect answer. So, we're going to wrap this up. So, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's your website?
I was going to bust like a totally funny one, but it's probably not a good idea. Short Sale Guru, GURU.com.
Yeah. And so if you're a homeowner that's struggling,
yep,
right, you're dealing with issues with your payment, so reach out to Matt. If you're an agent, Matt's going to pay you a handsome 30% referral fee.
30%
no
all day.
Questions
no
asked.
questions asked. I don't care if it's a $30,000 property or it's a $3 million property.
And it's true because I send you those $30,000 properties.
Yes, you have.
And if you're an investor looking at a property with no equity, Matt's happy to try to get your offer accepted.
Yep. That's what we do. I would say probably 4 to 5 times a month we're reached out by different investors in the valley that are like, hey, we want to buy this. There's no equity at all at any position. You short sale? And I'm like, yeah, sure. As long as it's a legitimate reason.
Right.
Which 9 times out of 10, if you're in foreclosure and you're underwater, there's usually a legitimate reason behind it.
Absolutely. So that's it. So thanks again, Matt. And, for you guys, if you like the show, tell a friend, share this, let people know about it. And until next time. Thanks, guys.